Hello there. It's another Wednesday. Time for your Wednesday treat. The News Extra, which begins now. Tonight, the Economic Recovery Growth Plan comes on stream as the President rolls out his blueprint that will take Nigeria on the path of sustained growth. And closely tied to sustained growth is a resource-based development. Tonight, our correspondent on special assignment takes us through aspects of growth based on the country's resources. Also tonight, reprieve for Justice Ademola as the court discharges and acquits him of all charges of corruption. Elsewhere, Senate President Bukola Saraki appears again at Code of Conduct Tribunal. That's not all. In the big picture, as the government turns attention to the ravaging cerebrospinal meningitis. That's a brief outlook of our package tonight. I am Fatima Abbas Hassan. The Nigeria Economic Recovery and Growth Plan has formally been launched by President Muhammadu Buhari. It is aimed at not only taking the economy out of recession, but also placing the country on the path of sustained, inclusive, and diversified growth at a rate of at least 7% by the year 2020. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu has that report.
Thank you very much, Studio. We are here at the Executive Council chamber where President Muhammadu Buhari just launched the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan ERGP 2017 to 2020. And the Minister of Budget, while delivering his address, noted that the plan is meant to restore growth, invest in people, and build a globally sustainable economy. I have now joining me the Minister himself, the Minister of Budget and National Planning. Good day, sir.
Thank you very much.
Please, sir, I'd like to ask, how do you hope to coordinate, like you said you're meant to be coordinating, to coordinate for effective implementation?
Well, you know, we already have a monitoring and evaluation department within the ministry. We're going to expand and strengthen that. Then there will also be a delivery unit in the presidency, which will also remove bottlenecks and push for implementation. And then we'll be organizing task forces, which we have already started. There's a task force looking at agriculture. We have a power sector. The various sectors, particularly the main execution priorities. And you know the execution priorities are 5. 1, stabilize the macroeconomy. 2, agriculture and food security. 3, transportation infrastructure. 4, energy, particularly power and petroleum self-sufficiency, and then finally industrialization. So in each of these sectors, we'll have task forces that will work with the MDAs concerned and will be reporting regularly, so that every 3 months, this ministry will give a report to Federal Executive Council of progress and then a report to the nation.
Now I want to ask, to the layman on the street, what is supposed to change and when do we?
Well, that was actually our earlier story on the Nigeria Economic Recovery and Growth Plan launch. Now let's get over to Adam Sambo for the details of the inauguration by President Muhammadu Buhari.
With up to 60 interventions and initiatives to guide the nation's development efforts over the next 4 years, the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan seeks to remove impediments to national growth, leveraging on the power of the private sector, but without compromising Nigeria's core values of discipline, integrity, social justice, self-reliance, and patriotism. President Muhammadu Buhari, while launching the plan meant to reinvigorate the economy, assured Nigerians that the implementation will be done with the same will and commitment demonstrated by his administration in the fight against corruption, terrorism, and militancy.
We are determined to change Nigeria from an import-dependent country to a producing nation. We must become a nation where we grow what we eat and consume what we produce. We must strive to have a strong naira and productive economy. And we remain committed to change our way of doing things and change Nigeria for good.
The plan, the president said, is an ambitious roadmap that brings together all sectoral strategic implementation plans for agriculture and food security, energy and transport infrastructure, industrialization, and social investment.
The plan is a national plan. Hence, the role of state governments is critical to its success. I therefore wish to appeal to the state governments to draw inspiration and strategic direction from this plan to articulate their economic programs, particularly in the development of the real sector.
Today is a promise kept, and I believe that the most important in any government is keeping a promise to its people. Secondly, today we are restoring hope, a bright future.
I have no doubt that this document, when successfully implemented, will usher in the turn around that is desired by all of us. And I promise to ensure that this meaningful document is implemented.
The 36 governors will take ownership and ensure effective execution at the subnational level, as this is the surest way to achieving the sustainable inclusive growth.
The Minister of Budget and National Planning, Udoma, described the economic recovery and growth plan as a critical step towards fulfilling President Muhammadu Buhari's promise of addressing the nation's fundamental problems, especially the repair of the broken economy.
The broad objectives of the ERGP are to restore growth, invest in our people, and build a globally competitive economy. In short, our aim is to change Nigeria.
The economic recovery and growth plan, Mr. Udoma said, is one that will definitely see the light of the day, as President Muhammadu Buhari has already approved the creation of a special delivery unit in the presidency to monitor and remove all bottlenecks to effective implementation. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Thank you, Adamu. I'm now being joined in the studio by Tunde Lawal. He is the Director of Macroeconomic Analysis Department in the Ministry of Budget and National Planning. We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
Now, tell us, what is the significance of this launch?
Yeah, the significance of this launch, of this blueprint, the economic recovery and growth plan, is first of all to make it available to the public, to let the public know that this is a policy direction of government. Because the plan, which is a national plan, it's aimed to guide Nigeria's economic development between 2017 to 2020. And this plan aims at making sure that Nigeria's growth is restored, and also aims to invest in our people, as well as building a very competitive, an economy which is also diversified. Of course, you know too well that over the years we have relied so much on, consuming what we don't produce. Yeah, but this plan aims at making Nigeria self-reliant. It aims at ensuring that Nigeria grows what you eat, and it use what you make, and indeed produce what you consume. The plan aims at leveraging on research and technology, so that Nigeria can indeed become a competitive economy, such that we begin to export, not only produce for consuming locally, but we also become net exporters. Overall, we intend to attain a GDP growth rate of 7% from where we are today. End of 2016, we were a negative 1.51% in terms of GDP growth rate. We expect that by the end of the planned period, we're going to generate not less than 15 million jobs. So this plan is actually not only talking about the growth, but the growth must be inclusive, and of course it takes cognizance of all stakeholders, the youths, and so on and so forth.
So how soon do we expect that it would,
the plan
take
has
effect?
started, implementation of the plan has indeed commenced.
Okay.
Like most of the initiatives contained in the plan for year one, which is 2017, are indeed part of what you have in the 2017 budget proposals. The plan, like I said, is a national plan. So it takes into cognizance, that the state governments must key into it, because most of the initiatives, there are 60 initiatives. And of course, to ensure effective implementation of these initiatives, the state governments, the private sector, we must leverage private sector to be able to generate the needed investment to attain the required growth of 7%. But, just to let you know that the plan also focuses on 5 key execution areas.
What are those 5 key areas?
The first has to do with stabilizing the macroeconomic environment. Issues of aligning fiscal and monetary policies, issues of trying to grow our revenues, which is part of stabilizing and of course cutting down on leakages with respect to cost. Then the second point has to do with achieving agriculture and food security. The third one has to do with expanding energy, which includes power, as well as petroleum products. Indeed, the target of the plan is to ensure that by 2018, we produce most of our refined products, 60% in Nigeria. And of course, the final is also to improve transport infrastructure and to drive industrialization, especially through the SMEs. These are some of the
so we have to leave
things
it
you have in the plan.
now.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for sharing that insight into the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan inaugurated by President Muhammadu Buhari today. And moving on, as government plans big for the nation's development, these plans will ultimately attempt to resolve challenges that impede set targets. Against this context, Nnamdi Odipo examines the imperatives for sanity and other planned development by using Abuja, the nation's capital, as an illustration.
Quite common to get a sense of being someplace exotic when you walk the streets of Abuja. Yet in the midst of this beauty is the negative advance of ugly tendencies. They appear to manifest in areas with bustling but apparently uncoordinated socio-economic activities. Welcome to Garki 2, Abuja, where the dingy outlay blunts aesthetics and standards, a sharp contrast in a city famous for its appeal. Imagine instead of these streets lining stores and carts, a well-paved road with walkways and adjoining shops. How about replacing this chaotic environment with a small park that prospective passengers can conveniently access? The reality, however, is disorder that shocks sensibilities.
This has implications for flow of traffic, for generation, for waste.
It is apparent that with population growth, more parts of the city are becoming unduly jam-packed and the environment distorted.
And in some ways, creating sanity in crowded and disorganized places might seem abstract, but it could be practical too and quite expedient, considering some of the nation's emerging challenges, such as security.
Many times over, crime and criminality flourish where chaos reigns and order is compromised. Discounts the force headquarters and the UN House. An analysis of the bomb attacks in Abuja revealed that affected areas became vulnerable due to the lack of order.
We see a lot of disorganization here and there, and we just take a lot of things for granted, and that shouldn't be.
Besides security, overcrowded places harbor unwholesome practices with negative impact on the environment.
In such areas, you have quite some challenge with a proper excreta, disposal because of the closeness, back-to-back, proximity of those structures.
It is inevitable that more people will be settling in the capital city. Conversely, maintaining sanity is a never-ending imperative. In Abuja, Nnamdi Odipo, NTA News.
Now, oftentimes, cities and towns enjoy boom and development due to their proximity to a much bigger city, a natural resource, a huge industry, or easy access to transport infrastructure. Fisayo Ogunfuyi, in this next report, however, looks at a small settlement with all these elements, which remains a bystander in spite of its advantageous location.
Jere of three key territories: Kaduna State, the FCT, and Niger State. Yet, it is still inexplicably at a crossroad between an imminent boom and a sad recession into obscurity. Jere's location has long made it a hub for local commerce in this agrarian region, a profile which has received further boost with the presence of two key transport infrastructure.
This is the heart of Jere, and it doesn't look like much is happening. Even with this sandwich between one of Nigeria's biggest trunk roads, the Okene-Kaduna Expressway, and Nigeria's most modern rail facility, the Du-Rigasa rail line. Now, the contrast is in the limitless possibilities of what can be. Now, this could be Jere with the location fully maximized as a modern hub for commercial activities, with fully developed storage facilities for farm produce, support services for their evacuation, a fully developed rail line for freights, and an access alternative on the road. The multiplier effect being that Jere and its environs will become an efficient and thriving spot for farm produce from the farm to the market. But the reality is that this sleepy town is weighed down by the lethargy of inertia and the absence of a positive dream.
There is a big railway station now in Jere, yeah. So you can see the blessing there. Every time now, you see that there is not a problem for you to travel or come to Jere on this time. You can come by this rail, or you can come by this trunk road, or the other road leading to Jos.
Dreams and reality are often thought to be far from each other, but in the case of Jere's current state, they are within a touching distance of each other. In Abuja, Fisayo Ogunfuyi, NTA News.
Well, Fisayo Ogunfuyi is still with us to give us insight into the cover resource-based development and linkages that can promote better output in different sectors in the economy. Over to you, Fisayo.
It's basically linking concept to actuality and ensuring value chains as well as access to locations where Nigeria raw materials are. It is no longer news that the nation has a considerable number of locations brimming with natural resources. The problem has been that they are likely untapped due to a combination of factors ranging from accessible roads to investor apathy. Our own Cecil Egbele has been doing some statistical work in this area. Cecil.
Yes, Fisayo, let's go on to the northeast, where we have a state like Gombe, said to be the commercial nerve center of the region. It has rich agricultural land and can employ up to 80% of its active population. In 2015, it generated 4.7 billion naira of internally generated revenue. Now imagine what will happen if it explores its potentials in commercial agriculture. Now let's move on to the southwest, where we have Lagos, though the smallest in terms of land mass, but it is the ideal state, the model state for internally generated revenue. In 2015, it generated 268 billion naira and moved on to 301 billion naira in 2016. Now imagine what will happen if Lagos takes a long haul in manufacturing. It can place itself among the big leagues of manufacturing countries around the world. What do you think, Fisayo?
Well, I tend to agree, but of course, let's bring an intellectual angle to this as we join Dr. Nasifi Abdullahi Dharma, a development economist, to give us an intellectual perspective. Now, Dr. Dharma, thank you for joining us. Now, can you tell us what kind of plan can boost the resource-based development that Cecil has been talking about?
Well, generally, if you look at the context of our country, Nigeria, being a developing economy, certainly the approach to development must be intersectoral and interlinkage. Unfortunately, almost in the last 30 years, we have never had any coordinated development planning strategy in such a way that the potentialities of the multi-sectors that make up the national economy and the potential input and output relationship associated with that, it is important that we put our hands together so that we can develop a coherent medium-term national development strategy that is not only implementable at the federal level, but taking into consideration the state governments and the local governments, and particularly the energies, the potentialities, and the economic strength of the informal sector of this national economy, which represent a huge source of economic growth and development, which was hitherto not taken into consideration and serious as it should be.
Thank you very much, Doctor. So there you have it. A synergistic and properly planned development agenda, which is currently being pursued, could help turn concept to positive reality for Nigerians.
A deep insight there into resource-based development and to the health sector, where the federal government is assuring Nigerians that everything is being done towards containing the outbreak of meningitis in parts of the country through what it calls robust emergency response strategy. The Minister of State for Health, Dr. Osagi Ehanire, gave the assurance while briefing newsmen after the Federal Executive Council meeting. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu has the details.
President Muhammadu Buhari presided over the Federal Executive Council meeting, which devoted attention to the prevailing health challenge occasioned by the outbreak of cerebrospinal meningitis in parts of the country. The council was informed that 64 local government areas across 16 states of the Federation were affected by the disease so far, recording about 2,300 cases with 336 fatalities.
We want to make it clear that this is not a sign of failing on the system. It is a fact that nature played a very different stroke this time that caught everybody off guard.
He said while the mass vaccination of Nigerians over the years had almost eliminated the type A meningitis germ, this time it is type C, a totally different strain of the deadly disease.
Because type C was very rare, the availability of vaccines was very meager, relatively. There's been a very robust response. We have mobilized vaccines to come in from all corners. 500,000 units, doses of vaccines are being distributed, and they have started vaccination campaign already. Government is also getting 826,000 units, which are being shipped from Europe to us within the next few days. There is reactive vaccination going on already. There's social mobilization going on. The various teams are working in all the states affected, particularly the most seriously affected ones. There are 2 treatment centers being set up in every local government, and the lumbar puncture kits have been distributed with which doctors can take samples to that laboratory for testing.
In the meantime, a credit facility of $1.3 billion has been approved by the Council towards supporting the Development Bank of Nigeria, which was licensed recently.
So the World Bank are giving us $500 million, repayable over 21 years. All of this is at concessional rates. AFDB are giving us $450 million, and KFW are giving us $200 million. And the French Development Agency are giving us $130 million. So FEC simply approved today that these loan requests should go to the National Assembly for approval so that we can access this money, and the Development Bank of Nigeria can therefore take off fully, as is expected, to transform finance into our MSME sector.
Also approved is the award of contract for the procurement of project managers and verification consultants to bring the nation's 200,000 military personnel on the integrated payroll and personnel information system platform.
And that's part of our efforts to really sanitize our payroll and make sure that the money we're spending on salaries is very, very accurate. So bringing the military on is a big step forward in that effort.
Budget and National Planning Minister Udoma Udoma, who was also at the briefing, announced plans by government to set up a team of sector experts to work with relevant ministries, departments and agencies towards preparing a more detailed implementation roadmap for the economic recovery and growth plan, including initiatives as well as deliverables. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
The FCT High Court has discharged and acquitted Justice Adeniyi Ademola of all the 18 counts brought against him. Justice Jude Okeke, in his judgment, said the prosecutors did not have an iota of evidence linking the judge with the charges. Judicial correspondent Femi Okewo has the details.
Shortly after the prosecution concluded its case, calling 19 witnesses, the defense entered a no-case submission, telling the court that Justice Adeniyi Ademola, his wife Olabowale, and a senior advocate of Nigeria, Joe Agi, have not been linked in any evidence to the charges bordering on gratification and illegal possession of firearms. Justice Jude Okeke agreed, saying the charges were largely speculative and bereft of evidence against the three defendants. He therefore discharged and acquitted them on all the counts. In Abuja, Femi Okewo, NTA News.
And elsewhere, the trial of the Senate President Abubakar Bukola Saraki over alleged false declaration of assets at the Code of Conduct Tribunal has resumed with intensified arguments. Our correspondent Aliu Tukur was there and now reports.
Re-examining the third witness, Mr. Samuel Madejomu, head of Intelligence and Investigation Unit of the Code of Conduct Bureau, saw the defense and prosecution counsel objecting to almost every question. The defense counsel, Paul Irokoro, said that the questions are ambiguous and the answers are being teleguided. The witness said that he did not confirm the claim by the defendant that some of the properties he declared was acquired with a loan and dividends from his company's sales of rice and sugar. After 2 weeks break, the tribunal sat for a day and adjourned the case to 18th of April. In Abuja, Aliu Tukur, NTA News.
Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed says Nigeria will leverage on the NIP TV Film Festival in Cannes, France, to solidify the country's ongoing television digital switchover project to engage content producer for the television industry. He stated this in Cannes, France, after touring some pavilions. Anthony Forsen reports.
MIP-TV is a platform where professionals from the television industry converge to take note and see what is the latest in the television industry that is being showcased annually. MIP-TV is a French acronym that means International Television Marketplace, and indeed a marketplace for TV producers. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed was guest to pavilions of some global names in the television industry as they unveiled their products and offered to partner with Nigeria.
We are discussing other businesses in Nigeria as well. Hopefully this will be sorted soon, and we expect some more business on our drama series from Nigeria.
They came from all over the world, irrespective of their size, but with a common mission.
We're in the process of choosing the new free-to-air public channel, so lots of discussions about the content.
The Nigerian group equally put up a strong showing, where Nollywood came up tops.
That also helps in showcasing Nigeria to the world. That's what it's all about, and that's why we also aim to, we always make plans to be at events such as these.
The minister moved from one pavilion to another in company of the Chairman Senate Committee on Information, Senator Suleiman Adokwe, and the Director General, National Broadcasting Commission.
When you now have about 100 channels, and you don't have enough content, you won't have enough viewership. And what I've taken away from here too is that we are probably doing much better than is being appreciated, at least within our peers. We've gone many steps ahead of many African countries in our quest for DSO. But what we're here for is to see how we can build contacts, relationship that would enrich the content production, when we go digital.
Especially, I'm concerned more especially with the free TV. That is what is affordable for the ordinary Nigerians, and how you can give them the best value in terms of shopping for the content producers, possibly to see how they will be able to work with our local producers and have a blend.
This is the biggest of its kind in the world. This is a 60-year-old marketplace of ideas. This is where we have to bring that remarkable content from our country to reach the world. So I think the future is very bright for Nigeria, because a lot that is new is coming on a regular, on a daily, on a weekly, on a monthly basis from our country. And this is the place where we have to showcase that content.
Some of the main items for exhibit at the show range from animation equipment, audio and video instruments, satellite devices, and cable equipments. In Cannes, France, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
Many thanks, Anthony. Now, you can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. Still to come, Techno Expo. What's next after the exhibition? We'll be right back.
Change does not just happen. You and I and all of us must appreciate that we all have our part to play if we want to bring change about. We must change our lawless habits, our attitude to public office, and public trust. We must change our unruly behavior in schools, hospitals, marketplaces, motor parks, on the roads, in homes and offices. To bring about change, we must change ourselves by being law-abiding citizens.
Hello, I just got back from the States and I need a SIM so I can have a number.
Bonus you need.
What's nyafu nyafu?
If you join MTN, you go enjoy bonus bracket.
What's bracket?
See, any bonus we then give you, you go fit to do anything where you like with them. Chatting, browsing, texting, calling, to any network for Nigeria, and no condition at all. Completely free dot. Everything in Baku.
What's Baku?
If you buy the charge card 100 naira, they go give you 600 naira. If you call the charge 200 naira, as a big baby to you is now, they will give you 1,200 naira.
Hey, brother, show me the way now.
Get an MTN SIM, register it, and get 6 times of all your recharges every time you recharge, and much more.
MTN, everywhere you go.
Hello?
Welcome to the M6 Challenge. Using your new Gioni M6, carry out everything on that list, starting now. Get to the door. Congratulations, you have passed the test. Gioni M6 with a 5,000 milliamp battery that lets you go on for 2 days on a single charge. Gioni M6, always in power.
There is a reason Africa is called the new frontier. What was once potential is now an opportunity ready to be seized. Once revered for our resources, today's wealth is in our people. People who build the cities that shape the future. People who know an idea in one place means business in another. A generation for whom technology means there are no borders, no boundaries. We are the new lions in a brave new world, kings of the urban jungle. puts the world in our pocket and the future in our hands. UBA, Africa's global bank.
My promise to my child: I am not your friend. I am your mother. I will stalk you, debate you, and hunt you down if I have to. Because when it comes to protecting you, there's no such thing as too tough. That's why every night, I insist on Baygon Multi-Insect Killer for tough mosquito protection before bedtime, so I know my loved ones can fall asleep protected. SC Johnson, a family company.
It is with joy that I've received Our Excellency's gifts.
I want to say that may God continue to bless and reward her. And so, on behalf of Garki Hospital, we are grateful.
Following the approval of the whistleblowers policy by the Federal Executive Council and its launch by the Minister of Finance, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun, patriotic Nigerians have been making inquiries on how and where they could deliver information that could lead to the stopping or uncovering of fraud to the appropriate authority and answers to frequently asked questions. The Federal Ministry of Finance has therefore dedicated a telephone line for receiving SMS, a whistleblowers portal, and an email address through which members of the public who volunteer to disclose information about a possible misconduct or violation could deliver such information for the attention of the team dedicated to process such information.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
We're glad to have you join us again on NTA News Extra tonight. A bill for an act to repeal and amend the Arbitration and Reconciliation Act in the Nigerian Constitution has passed second reading at the Senate. National Assembly correspondent Waziri Zayanu reports that in two separate but similar bills, the Senate deliberated on ways by which the proposed act will be made to conform with international best practices.
In their separate presentations, Senator Mansurat Sumonu and Senator Andy Uba proposed the use of modern technological devices in the resolution of disputes, which by extension could help in decongesting cases in the courts of law.
Arbitration has fast become the modern mode of dispute resolution, and it is necessary to update our statute in order not to be left behind.
No doubt, the process of dispute resolution, especially in a growing economy like ours, can influence the rating of our business environment.
While contributing to the consolidated bills, some senators argued that the amended bill will not only help in solving commercial disputes, but it will also reduce ethnic conflict.
So situation where people who don't have money, now they can go to arbitration. So I suggest that we support this bill so that at least we encourage people not to go to the court.
It also makes a novel provision for setting aside previous awards. In the extant law, there is no such provision.
The two bills have been consolidated and referred to the Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters, and we expect them to report back within 4 weeks.
Similarly, Senate Leader Ahmed Lawal has moved a motion on recommittal of the National Assembly Budget and Research Office Bill 2017, as well as the Forestry Research Institute of Nigeria Bill 2017, while a bill for an act to make provision for the suppression of piracy by Senator Nelson Effiong and another bill for an act to repeal the Nigerian Postal Services Act by Senator Gbenga Ashafa were also considered at the plenary.
The Senate is aware that there is no defined procedure on the reconsideration of bills passed by the National Assembly that have not been transmitted to the President for assent.
Nigeria, being an import-dependent economy, must do more to guarantee the safe arrival of goods at shores.
The bill seeks to establish the Nigerian Postal Commission with the sole and exclusive responsibility for the regulation and supervision of the postal sector.
In the meantime, a meeting of the Senate Committee on the Review of 1999 Constitution, chaired by the Deputy Senate President Ike Ikweremadu, has ended on Wednesday with assurances that alterations being made on the national document will help reposition the local government system, devolve more powers to the states, and reform the judicial system. The assurances were contained in a statement issued at the end of the meeting. From the National Assembly, Wazir Zayan, NTA News.
And in carrying out its legislative duty, the House of Representatives has mandated its Committee on Information, National Orientation, Ethics and Values to investigate what it described as exorbitant charges and the refusal of multi-choice satellite television company to adopt the pay-as-you-go package in Nigeria. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Onkwo has more on that.
The service charge of the multi-choice satellite television company resonated on the floor as Representative Abbas Tajuddin observes that the television company has increased its prices more frequently than necessary.
For instance, in 2013, the monthly subscription increased by 7 to 10%. In 2014, by about 10 to 15%. And in 2015, by 10 to 22%. And just recently, the company sent a notification of another price increase with effect from May 1st, 2017.
The legislators are to also investigate alleged irregularities in the transportation of petroleum products and the attendant cases of fire outbreak at Suleja Depot, as moved by Representative Muazu Lawal.
There was a fire incident at the depot as a result of illegal loading.
The motion by Representative Rahis Abdul Kadri for the inclusion of the reconstruction of the Maiduguri-Dambuwa Road, Borno State, in the 2017 budget was adopted.
This long stretch of road passes through important institutions in Maiduguri metropolis and plays an essential role in the socio-economic lives of inhabitants of the city.
The House says it is doing everything possible to hasten the ongoing constitutional amendment.
We want to make sure that whatever we are going to amend get to Mr. President before the end of the third year of this administration.
Well, one bill also came on the floor, but that bill seeks to empower the National Assembly to have the power to remove governors and their deputies in states. But well, members, we are totally against that bill, and as a matter of fact, the sponsor of that bill stepped it down. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Onkwo, NTA News.
And away from the legislature, the ongoing technology expo in Abuja has been described as a solid foundation being laid to make science and technology the bedrock of the nation's development. In this next report, science correspondent Kiriani Omayo examines some of the various research findings, innovations and inventions being showcased at the expo.
Nigeria can be described as one of the countries with low level of investment in science and technology. This is as a result of the inability of research institutes to get the private sector to patronize the research findings, innovations and inventions. The ongoing Techno Expo in Abuja is meant to bridge the gap. There are amazing inventions and innovations. Here, students of Pegasus High School, Eket, presented a mechanism for converting cow dung to methane gas for cooking.
In the beginning of our project, we packed a known quantity of cow dung and put inside an underground digester. Left it for 10 to 16 days for fermentation to take place. On the 10th day, we checked whether the gas was working by inserting a hose in the delivery tube at the end. And my co-presenter lit the Bunsen burner and the gas fled for a few minutes. So we knew we had a project on hand.
Also on display, remotely controlled prototype cars and trucks by students of Oboro Technical College, conversion of sawdust into roofing sheet, and traffic lights with defaulter alarm are also on display. Locally made power inverter and machinery used in making interlocking blocks are all part of the Expo 2017.
The motivation that I have in doing it is through the thoughts that we have been taught in school.
This is a thrown-away material. You can use it to produce sawdust. It can produce rubber sheet.
Our traffic light system automatically detects a defaulter that attempts to beat the traffic light on the red lane.
Our inverters, as huge as they are, like our 5 kV, can start with one battery, 12 volts, other than the foreign pattern that we have, that some of them can start with about 6, 8 batteries.
One of the spectacular productions at this Techno Expo is this wooden car made in Bida, Niger State by Ahmed Aliyu. It's the vehicle that actually brought in the minister at the arena at the opening ceremony.
The Nigerian people, they can make a car by themselves.
Looking at the local content, we have in that car chassis and body 60%, engine 12%, seats and upholstery 6%, wheels 12%, steering 4%, and exhaust 2%, an indication that we are going somewhere. Now, pointer and rear light is 0.4%, Nigerian material, wiring and electrical 2%, shaft 1.6%, totaling 100%. But we were told that the car has 70% of Nigerian-made materials. Now, going by the scientific and the technological innovations and inventions on display at the Techno Expo, there is an indication that Nigeria has what it takes to grow technologically. Kirian Umayo, NTA News.
Thank you very much, Kirian. Joining me now is Dr. Gloria Elemo, Director General of the Federal Institute for Industrial Research, Oshodi. We're glad to have you in the studio.
Thank you very much.
Now, you are currently heading the committee on the fabrication of agri-equipment for Nigerian farmers. Please tell us, a little bit about, the developments in that direction.
Yes, thank you. Actually, we have a committee that looked into bringing the fabricators together in the agricultural value chain. If you know quite all right that one of the strategy for getting Nigeria out of recession is to use agriculture and make agriculture agribusiness. So all ramification, all aspect of agricultural value chain must be taken into consideration. The critical ditch or the critical pathway is actually in processing. If we cannot adequately process, we'll not be able to have stable, shelf-stable products with adequate nutrition. So we are looking in terms of food security and nutrition security. We need quite a large number of machineries and equipment to be able to have effective processing. And that is why we have today as the Fabricators Workshop, which is actually to create awareness in the area of capacity and of fabricators' technologies that we need. We need to have our own indigenous machineries and equipment that can process agricultural products to make sure that we get the specifications for the Nigerian products. And that was what happened today. We have an array of over 50 fabricators from all over the country. They were able to showcase their innovations, and the objective was really to bring them together and accredit them as national fabricators. These national fabricators are now going to start fabricating equipment based on the specifications of R&D results that are coming from the research institutes for mass production and for industrialization, especially for the use of the MSMEs in Nigeria.
Okay, now the issue of commercialization of research findings has been, resonating for some time now. What is your view? In your view, should be done to sensitize the private sector so that they can take up some research findings?
Yes, commercialization of research finding has been a very serious strategy towards industrialization, and it has different facets depending on the product you are talking about. The strategies are varied and multifaceted. If I take an example of what we are doing now at the Federal Institute of Industrial Research, we have been able to develop a nutrient pack, snacks, for school-age children between ages 5 and 12. It meets 1/3 recommended dietary allowance for children between ages 5 and 12 in terms of the protein content, energy, the micronutrients, which is the hidden hunger. We're looking at the minerals as well as the vitamins. And all of these packed into one will definitely, it's an intervention, and it's an intervention biscuit and snack, and it could be effectively used for the school feeding program. NASCO, which is a big company in Nigeria, has actually bought into that technology, and very soon we are expecting, with the collaboration with the Federal Institute of Industrial Research, that the biscuit will be all over the whole place. There are also several R&D results that have been taken up by big companies. Meyambika is a very close collaborator to FIRO. He uses the result of R&D. We work with Honeywell. These are some of the big companies. We work closely also with other companies in the area of commercialization. That's a strategy. Another strategy are using the SMEs.
So now quickly, after the expo, what next?
Implementation.
Okay.
We did not stop today at the fabricators workshop. It wasn't a talk show. At the end of it, there was accreditation. There were forms that were filled, and we are hoping that henceforth we are having a very strong association, and registration will continue online, and these fabricators are going to be given specific designs, and there is going to be specialized training. And one of the major areas we identify is in standard and fine-tuning of the equipment.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Lemon there, Director General of the Federal Institute for Industrial Research, Oshodi. And moving on to other stories of the day, the growth and development of countries cannot be successfully achieved without empowering the rural communities, as the National Bureau of Statistics has indicated that 75 to 80% of people in developing countries live in rural areas. Reports. In view of this, the Nigerian Communications Commission has donated information and technology ICT equipment to the Nigerian Computer Society Abuja branch for distribution to secondary schools in rural areas of the Federal Capital Territory. Olajide Bello has that report.
From a National Bureau of Statistics indicates that information and communication technology is the third largest contributor to Nigeria's gross domestic product, with 11.98% compared to 10.29% from the oil and gas sector. With the National Information Technology Development Agency's projection of 20% contribution to the country's GDP by 2020, the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, is taking steps further from being a telecommunications regulator, but also using its platform to boost the education sector. The best way to prepare the future for Nigerian youth, according to NCC, is to put measures in place and provide up-to-date facilities to ensure they are well equipped with ICT knowledge to brace up for the digital world.
Our initiative is also an initiative that other agencies of government should embrace, whether they are in ICT or not. And the reason is because we can begin now to build a crop of young Nigerians.
With the huge number of those systems that they are donating, it will go a long way in helping us to achieve our goal. We have over 50 monitors that we're donating, 35 central processing units, 30 printers, 50 UPSs, 15 laptops.
The Nigerian Communications Commission reiterated its commitment towards harnessing the rich potentials in Nigerian youth to reposition them to be ICT compliant in line with international best practices. In Abuja, Olajide Bello, NTA News.
The Police High Command is to take some tough measures as part of new strategies to curb insecurity caused by armed militias, bandits and kidnappers across the country. Inspector General Police Ibrahim Idris, who stated this at the meeting with senior officers from the rank of Commissioners of Police and above, says they will henceforth establish more mobile police units and area commands. Edina Justice reports that disarmament and quick response to distress calls top the agenda.
Other items were visibility placing, intelligent gathering, closer supervision of men and officers, as well as affordable housing for their members. Inspector General of Police, while commending the success recorded in flashpoints across the country, enjoined state command commissioners to synergize with other security agencies, saying they all work for the interest of the country. He noted that for effective policing, the force will establish more mobile police squadrons and area commands.
We are going to establish one in several parts of the state, some in the east, south, north, and by the time we're establishing these squadrons in each flashpoint, and I believe by the time we create this vacancy, we're going to promote most of our officers in the rank of Assistant Commissioner of Police. We are trying to bring the police closer, that's the command structure, closer to the populace.
Other high points were the decoration of 11 new commissioners of police and an assistant commissioner of police. They also announced the promotion of over 33,000 rank and file of the force. There was also a symbolic presentation of endowment checks to 112 beneficiaries worth 180 million naira.
The Inspector General of Police, meeting with officers from the rank of Commissioner of Police and above, is a security conference where police activities for the previous months are reviewed and action plan for the months ahead are also taken. From the force headquarters, aiding on justice, NTA News.
The Chairman, Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, Mr. Ekpo Nta, says a lot has been achieved by the Commission through collaboration with relevant agencies to prevent corruption. He said this while interacting with journalists after attending the Commission's retreat in Kaduna. Austin Anyebe has the details.
ICPC has the core mandate of evolving measures that could stem corruption identified as a major challenge to development in Nigeria.
From 1996, when we were the worst country, we've moved up substantially to 136. And the percentile, if we're going to assign scores, is 27%, which for me is not a pass mark, but it is not zero. We can do much, much better.
The chairman of the commission says, through strategic plans mapped out by the commission, government and educational institutions have been sensitized, coupled with the evolution of electronic transaction, which is gradually removing movement of cash from the system.
It will be very, very, very difficult for you to keep on moving huge cash because people who would be receiving it will not be ready to receive such monies anymore.
The commission, he said, has identified mismanagement of funds in some of the universities in Nigeria and working towards engendering financial prudency in execution of projects by universities. The retreat provides platform for management and staff to evaluate the current strategic action plan to see areas of strength and weaknesses and make proper realignment in line with the National Anti-Corruption Strategy 2017 to 2020 in Kaduna. Austin Anyebe, NTA News.
The effects of Boko Haram insurgency has been given topmost priority to ensure that the dignity of lives and communities is restored. The Federal Commissioner for Refugees, Migration and Internally Displaced Persons, Sadia Umar Farouk, said this during the distribution of relief materials to the internally displaced. Pauline Kuje Vane has that report. Well, I'm afraid that report is not forthcoming. We'll bring that story to you in our subsequent bulletin. Experts on disaster management says although Nigeria may not suffer catastrophes such as earthquakes and landslides, the lessons learned from the recent tremor in Kaduna State has reawakened the need for disaster preparedness. Talatu Ezirike reports that they were speaking on NTA's Current Affairs program, Tuesday Live.
Disaster, be it man-made or natural, such as earthquake, wildfire, and floods, are global challenges. Analysts say though disaster management in Nigeria dates back to 1906, there are identified gaps that must be tackled as the increasing effect of climate change, routine mishaps such as road crashes, fire outbreaks, collapsed buildings, flood, and tremor have continued to pose a threat.
NEMA, in collaboration with the Ministry of Science and Technology, are putting in effort to get early warning system put in place in these identified areas to be able to give us early warning for us so that the reaction time will reduce. The issue of communication is a challenge. Right now, we are yet to adopt one single digit number for emergency response in Nigeria. Very soon, we'll come out with a number.
The responses to non-trauma patients has improved. The cholera, the flood patients, the victims of the IDPs. If you see the way we handle the Ebola in Nigeria, people actually give kudos to the way things have been handled. We still need to create more awareness, especially in the community, in the way people crowd around emergency victims instead of giving help.
The fire service we are having today will be that of the normal fire service, in fact, that can compete elsewhere.
Others emphasize the need for the right approach to disasters control and management.
Remove the bureaucracy in addressing emergency issues. Certain things do not have to waste time in the assembly or in the offices.
The challenges we have in is not different from challenges that other humanitarian organizations may be having, and that is funding. That's where we have challenges.
No doubt, the earnest desire and prayers of every citizen is that of a disaster-free country. These experts say depends largely on how man treats his environment. Talati Ezarike, NTA News.
And we take you back to an earlier story in which we told you that the Federal Commissioner for Refugees, Migration and Internally Displaced Persons, Sadia Umar Farouk, has distributed relief materials to the internally displaced persons in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital. Our correspondent, Pauline Kujevane, is standing by with the details.
The National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons has the mandate of ensuring that durable solutions are found for persons and communities affected by conflict, man-made or natural disaster, hence the provision of relief materials to ameliorate the hardship of the IDPs.
They've lost almost everything. By the time they go back home, there's need for us to support them to be on their feet. We're going to do that in areas of trade as well as farming, with them farming for tools, and then whatever assistance we can do to empower them.
The Federal Commissioner Sadia Umar Farouk also presented dogs to the Medical Center of the Nigerian Air Force 105 Combat Group, Maiduguri, for the treatment of the internally displaced persons at Balori and Bama camps. Sadia Umar Farouk was also at the Nigerian Immigration Service Borno State Command to explore ways of collaboration to ensure the safe return of displaced persons of Borno taking refuge in neighboring countries. The Comptroller of Immigration, Musa Bello Jahun, said they are working with United Nations High Commission for Refugees to come up with authentic data that will help in peace building and national planning. In Maiduguri, Pauline Kujevana, NTA News.
The Nigerian Meteorological Agency and the Hydrological Services Agency have agreed to share climate and water information to enable Nigerians and the government plan ahead of flood and Harmattan seasons. This was during a meeting between the two sister agencies in Abuja. Mie Ogidi has that report.
Lives and property, which cannot sometimes be compensated in monetary terms, are usually lost during flood season due to non-availability of accurate forecast to enable the people plan ahead. This situation is also experienced in the aviation sector, as airline operators sometimes encounter challenges, such as flight diversion, when the accurate information is not available.
It was in view of some of these occurrences that the Nigerian Meteorological Services and that of the Hydrological Services Agency are meeting in Abuja to come up with a reliable data that will going to enable the government and the people to plan ahead in case of any flooding and other natural disasters.
It was a friendly atmosphere, though not losing sight of what brought them together. That is, on how to work out a national framework on climate and hydrological services, where the two agencies can compare notes and generate a reliable data for the nation.
will be releasing drought and monitoring bulletin. And you readily agree with me that any statement you are making on drought without addressing the hydrology component of it, you are only making speculation. Likewise, any statement we are releasing on flood without taking into account the hydrological component will only be making speculations.
They cover the climate, we cover the hydrology, and that is why when they come out with the SRP, the seasonal rainfall prediction, and we try to marry that with what obtains on the ground, talking in terms of the geology, topography, the geomorphology, the vegetation, and even urbanization, what have you, so that way we could simulate these parameters and try to come up with possible flood scenarios for the country.
It was a fruitful interagency collaboration with a lot of prospects for better management of climate and hydrological services. Mayor Ogidi, NTA News.
Former Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Mr. Patrick Itohe, has passed away at the age of 76. He passed away peacefully shortly after a brief illness in a private hospital about 5 o'clock this Wednesday evening in Makurdi, Benue State. He had been living a private life in Makurdi since disengaging as Director General in 1999 after his appointment in 1996. He was instrumental to the movement of NTA headquarters to Abuja. Before his appointment as Director General of the NTA, he was at various times Director Programs and Director News. The late Patrick Itohe was a consummate broadcaster, newsman and dramatist. He will be remembered for his role as one of the major characters of NTA's popular program, Sunny Side of Life, themed on national unity. Because of his huge sense of humor, he was a major inspiration to the program, with Peter Igo as producer. Up ahead, report any bank that fails to meet the Forex demands of genuine customers. That's the message of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, to the public. The details when we return.
This must be one of Mother Nature's greatest gifts. But there's something else it gives us. When we see such beauty, we want to share it with those we love. That's what LG wants you to see. Just what we see now, through our technology. LG OLED TV.
Achievers always believe in 100%. Breakfast isn't complete without Chivita 100% fruit juice. Made from real natural fruits with no added sugar. So to be at your best, start every day the Chivita 100% way. With 100% quality. 100% commitment. 100% goodness. Achievement. Start your day the Chivita 100% way.
My promise to my child. I am not your friend. I am your mother. I will stalk you, debate you, and hunt you down if I have to. Because when it comes to protecting you, there's no such thing as too tough. That's why every night, I insist on Baygon Multi-Insect Killer for tough mosquito protection before bedtime, so I know my loved ones can fall asleep protected. S.C. Johnson, a family company.
Everyday air. Ordinary air. And then there's TomTom Air. air, and then there's Tom Tom Air. What are you breathing? New Tom Tom 5-piece pack.
That was close.
Yes, luckily I have Happy Cover.
Oh, I have Happy Cover too. Sorry about your house.
Actually, I have Happy Cover also, so...
Get happy. SMS happy to 22865 and we'll call you back.
Maybe he needs happy.
SMS now. Live happy with Leadway Assurance, ensuring happiness since 1970.
It's finally here. The most anticipated sports show on live television, featuring great sports icons from ex-internationals to famed journalists and administrators. It doesn't come bigger than the Sports Parliament. Be a part of the biggest sports talk show on television to help chart a successful path for Nigerian sports. 11 p.m. to midnight on Thursday on the NTA. Sports Parliament, where the eggheads converge.
You're welcome back. Commercial banks have enough Forex to meet the demands of genuine customers. Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, insists, urging the public to report any bank that fails in its obligation in this regard to the Apex Bank. Amechi Payos has more on our business news.
Hello, it's business news. Did you know that commercial banks in Nigeria have more than enough Forex to meet the demand of legitimate customers? This is because the Central Bank of Nigeria on a weekly basis makes Forex available to banks and bureau de change across the country. The Apex Bank sell at least $80 million to banks for onward sale to their customers for personal and business traveling allowances, medical and school fees. According to the spokesperson of the CBN, Isaac Okorafo, legitimate customers should insist on the current prescribed exchange rate of Forex. Okorafo stressed that with the injection of Forex into the system, customers have no business at the parallel market where demands for the US dollar is crashing significantly. The Central Bank of Nigeria has since February 2017 made over 10 offers in the interbank wholesale market ranging from $100 million to $500 million per auction. And here are details of business on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange today.
Market capitalization closed high at 8.1 trillion naira, while the all-share index finished at 25,471.69 points. About 159 million shares valued at 1.12 billion naira swept hands in 3,048 deals.
And that's business news. Nice to have you join us. Good evening.
In the meantime, the Central Bank of Nigeria's intervention in the foreign exchange market is no doubt beginning to yield positive results, with the naira exchanging within the range of 360 and 380 to a dollar, and indeed gaining strength against the forces that kept it tumbling before other currencies. In this special report, Shikiola Ikpinaye takes a look at the situation in the Forex market.
About 6 weeks ago, it was a period of lamentations, with the naira hitting 520 against the dollar and even higher against the euro and pound sterling. Thanks to the Central Bank of Nigeria's special intervention policy in the foreign exchange market, the intervention seeks to flood both the interbank and the parallel foreign exchange markets with adequate funds to meet the high Forex demand, with optimism to converge the rates between the two windows. This has created a boom in the Forex market, thereby forcing down the strength of the dollar against the naira, as more Forex activities are returning to the financial institutions from the usual black market.
And if you can see now, as you come, we didn't see anybody come buy dollar. Why? Because they have another source to buy money.
Though the move by the Apex Bank seemed to be yielding positive results, with the naira now officially exchanging for 360 naira to the dollar, some business owners seem to be having difficulties accessing the greenback through the banks.
We apply for the central bank to give us foreign currency, we cannot get it. Then automatically we go to the market. Okay, they call it the black market, the blue market, the red market, but we go to the open market.
As we are talking to you, my goods are in Hong Kong, that I do not have money to make it, to push it to come.
A claim the banks refuted sharply. a visit to one of the foremost banks in Nigeria indicates that it is meeting customers' demands adequately and at the official rate of 360 naira to the dollar.
Practically everyone who meets the minimum requirement can walk into any bank and access his basic travel allowance. It is that easy. As for the other Nigerian market situation, of course, like you know, it's a function of the nature of the transaction, whether customers have LCs, matured obligations, whether they have bills for collection remittances to make. These actually also are being met as the customer demands go to CBN.
In the face of this, the Central Bank of Nigeria has maintained at different fora that it will sustain its current foreign exchange policy stance in a desperate move to stabilize the naira. It has also set in motion machinery to come down heavily on financial institutions that are not living up to expectation and advised anyone having difficulties in accessing foreign exchange to report back to the Apex Bank.
I want to make it clear that the Central Bank of Nigeria has supplied enough foreign exchange to banks for these purposes, and that the banks have in their possession even more than enough foreign exchange to satisfy to meet the needs of these customers.
Since February this year, when the CBN started its intervention at the interbank market, it has injected more than $1.5 billion to the Forex market to meet the needs of school fees, medicals, business and personal travel allowances, while the naira has continued to extend its gains against the dollar. In Abuja, Shikiola Ikpenaye, NTA News.
Many thanks, Shikiola. Now, the House of Representatives Committee on Banking and Currency has extolled the efforts of the Nigerian Export-Import Bank, NEXIM, to live up to its mandate of exchanging export of made-in-Nigeria products and jobs creation. The committee chairman, Jones Onyereri, stated this during its oversight activity to NEXIM Bank and one of the benefiting companies of its medium-term facility of 1.2 billion. Finance and economy correspondent Cliff Ayozie has that report.
Within 8 months of its operations in Idu layout in Abuja, this furniture company has grown from a staff strength of 40 to 200, complementing about 300 others at its Lagos office. This feat was achieved through a 1.2 billion naira medium-term facility granted by the Nigerian Export-Import Bank, NEXIM, in 2013 and 2015 to the company. Members of the House Committee on Banking and Currency and Oversight to the Trade Policy Bank say the pursuit of the bank's mandate is yielding dividends in export of furniture and employment of Nigerian youth.
That they will ensure that first we have value for the facility that they have so granted Alibat, and not just Alibat, for other companies that are enjoying NEXIM facilities. And then secondly, that they also are operating in full capacity to enable them pay back the facility.
Acting Managing Director of the Nigerian Export-Import Bank, NEXIM, Bashiri Wali, says the Trade Policy Bank remains focused in pursuit of its mandate.
This is the type of intervention that we believe will not only generate employment, but will also improve upon the non-oil foreign exchange earnings of our country.
Majid Ali Tan says experience, expertise and support of NEXIM Bank combined to its success and has set 50% increase in production target by December 2017.
We are exporting to Cotonou, Republic of Benin, we are exporting to Ghana, we are exporting to Ivory Coast, we are exporting to Senegal, we are exporting to Mali, and very soon, before the end of this year, we start exporting to Europe.
In Abuja, Cliff Ayozie, NTA News.
Chief Operating Officer, Downstream Operations of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, Harry Ikem, says there is no plan by the federal government or any of its agencies to review the pump price of petrol above 145 per litre. Mr. Ikem made the clarification in Abuja at a resolution meeting Wednesday with top functionaries of NUPENG, Petrol Tanker Drivers, Nigerian Association of Road Transport Owners, NATO, and House of Representatives Committee, downstream. The explanation became necessary following the recent increase in bridging allowance to transporters from 6 naira 20 kobo to 7 naira 20 kobo per litre, which is said was achieved after an adjustment in what is referred to as lightering expenses and would not affect the pump price of petrol. Reiterating the readiness of the NNPC management to sustain the existing cordial relationship between the leadership of the downstream industry unions, the NNPC Chief Operating Officer downstream gave an assurance that the country had 1.3 billion litres of petrol to last 36 days, bolstered with the production from the 3 refineries in Port Harcourt, Warri and Kaduna. We'll take a short break now. There'll be more when we return in just a moment. Join us again.
Helen! Your kitchen gets 10 out of 10.
Thank you.
This also gets a 10. Should we see the toilet now?
Sure.
This gets just 1.
It is clean.
But not perfect 10.
Better than my detergent and bleach? Impossible.
Challenge? Try Apic compared to bleach and detergent. Apic sticker formulation removes yellow stains times better, giving you a sparkling clean toilet.
Wow.
Now you also take that?
Harpic 10X Challenge.
Also available in 200 ml pack for 200 naira only.
The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, is working to ensure access to safe, good quality essential medicines with the World Health Organization pre-qualification of made in Nigeria pharmaceutical products, stiffer penalties for fake drug offenders with a review of NAFDAC laws, national, regional, and international collaborations, cutting-edge technologies, including the mobile authentication service.
NAFDAC impacts upon everything we do, including water we drink, the food we eat. They are important organs to the development of this country. And everybody should come out and join them and support them and help them to achieve the greatest benefits and success that they need to record.
Let us support NAFDAC to win the war against fake drugs and other unwholesome regulated products. NAFDAC, safeguarding the health of the nation.
Do you crave class? Do you have taste? And do you care about comfort? If you do, then for your next event, a stay away from home, a business trip, or a holiday, visit Jade's Hotel at 24 Undola Crescent, Wuse Zone 5, Abuja. Check out our world-class services, exquisite suites, restaurant and bar, gymnasium, spa and grills, and our outdoor catering services and cuisines. At Jade's, it can only be better. For bookings and reservations, visit us today at 24 Undola Crescent, Wuse Zone 5, Abuja, or visit www.jadeshotels.com. Our email address is info@jadeshotels.com.
You can also call us on 09291-9321 or 0810-909-7956.
Jade's Hotels, welcome to life.
The federal government's social investment program has begun. The poorest and most vulnerable in the land get 5,000 naira monthly, and phase 1 has started in 9 states of the federation. 200,000 unemployed graduates have been engaged in the N-Power Volunteer Corps, designed to engage 500,000 people. 5.5 million children will be fed regularly in the homegrown school feeding program, which kicked off in 3 states last year, with 9 more to be added this year. And under the Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program, GEEP, thousands of cooperatives, market women, farmers, and enterprising youth have been receiving between 10,000 and 100,000 naira soft loans since November 2016. The Social Investment Program has begun. It can only get better. We promise change. Change is here.
Yes, so no be only government go stop Lassa fever. Now everybody go put hands together to stop Lassa fever. We don't the years once more to say Lassa fever don't use style resurface for some part of this country them. But the Federal Ministry of Health say make you no panic. Now so they clean our house all the time. Go chase rats come out. And if rats don't mood for our house, Lassa fever don't come out be that. Lassa fever get two symptoms. One are early stages where they bring fever, sore throats, vomiting, diarrhea, joint pain. The second stage now bonge, now they cause bleeding from the nose, eyes, spectrum. It go even they make blood to the commode from private parts. Even cause swelling genital. Make we stop to the shop rats. Anyway we rat fit enter our house. Make we block am. Don't forget say division of the universal health coverage. That to see say everybody they can pay. Our Oga President Muhammad Buhari want everybody make we stand gidigba. Yama no good for us so it invite rat. Sweat where they come up from person wey get Lassa fever. Fit transfer the disease from one person to another. If you suspect any fever, we don't treat with better medicine and you no go quick, or you suspect any person wey get Lassa fever, make you rush go any health facilities wey dey near you. Lassa fever must go. Now all of una go give am red card. Now Federal Ministry of Health bring una this message.
The death toll from the Colombia mudslides on the increase as embattled South Africa's President Jacob Zuma receives support by a major decision-making body within the ruling ANC. These are more on Global Tidbits by Paul Ogechi.
From Europe comes a report that Iceland is set to tackle gender pay gap with world's toughest law. It is regarded as the world's first toughest, aimed at closing the wage gap between men and women. The bill was supported by the centre-right coalition government and the opposition. South Africa's embattled president, Jacob Zuma, has been backed by a major decision-making body within the ruling ANC. It was looking at a complaint by some of the ANC top executives that Jacob Zuma had failed to consult them over reshuffling of his cabinet. A party official said the ANC has decided not to press for the president's resignation, considering his complaint. Meanwhile, the death toll from the Colombia mudslides has risen to 254, with at least 170 injured. President Juan Manuel Santos said no fewer than 44 children are among those killed in the devastating mudslides. Reports say more than 1,000 soldiers and police are involved in the relief effort. That's Global Tidbits, Ogechi Paul, NTA News.
We unite. We defy. We hope. We dream. We play. We are fire in our hearts. We are made of black.
The management of Nkata.com announces the loss of their founder and CEO, Mr. Ugonna Athonweze, who passed away on the 16th of March 2017. Burial arrangements, service of songs, National Christian Center, Abuja, Central Area, behind CBN. Date 7th April 2017. Time 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Burial service, Holy Trinity Anglican Church, Ubakala, Umahia, Abia State. Date 20th April 2017. Time 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Interment follows immediately after. Signed, Jeffrey Evans Uhebu, Executive Director.
And for a bit on sports, it's over to Amazi Marcus.
The second edition of the National Para-Soccer League gets underway in Abuja Thursday, with 14 teams from different states of the country competing. Handball pitch of the National Stadium and Old Parade Ground are venues of the 2 weeks competition, as defending champions Kano hopes to retain their title.
We are going to have about 100 plus matches because we are expecting, and each one will play, will play 13 matches. And I believe people will see the actions, and para-soccer has come to stay.
Technical advisor of Nigeria's under-21 beach volleyball team, Samuel Timothy, wants early campaign outside Abuja ahead of the World Championship coming up in Nanjing, China from June 13 to 18. While relying on experience gathered during the qualifiers, the coach believes more work still remains to be done for a good outing in China.
If the federation can help, Nigerian at large can help, so that we'll go to Lagos or Calabar to train and have at least three weeks up to 1 month training, those boys will make an impact.
5 inmates have regained their freedom from the maximum security prison in Port Harcourt, River State, following their participation and performance in the maiden edition of the Freedom Cup football competition held about a year ago. Captain of second place Team Love, Promise Badom, An attacking midfielder who spent 11 months in the prison hopes to start a new life playing professional football if given the opportunity.
God knows that I love football in my life because I just see that is the only thing that can make me change from bad life.
The inmates were released in March 2017 and the other 4 are Harrison Bandon, Acho Augustine, Saturday Beki and Uchenna Chuku. With sports update, Amanzi Marcus, NTA News.
Well, this is how it has been on NTA News Extra tonight. We hope you've had a wonderful viewing time with us. Why don't we do this again, same time next week? Until then, do have a pleasant night rest.